Alien girl's leg destroyed by mine. Only a human medic dared to replace it with a synthetic limb. The transport ship screamed as it tore through the atmosphere, metal groaning under the strain. Tom gripped his medical pack tight, his knuckles white. He was just a medic, not a soldier, but war didn't care about that. The pilot yelled something about engine failure before the ship slammed into the alien planet's surface. Dust, red and thick like blood, swirled around the wreckage. Tom coughed, pulling himself free from his seat. His squad, a rough group of human fighters, stumbled out too, cursing the galaxy. "Is everyone alive?" Tom shouted, scanning the chaos. Nods and grunts answered him. The squad leader, Mike, barked orders to secure the area. They were deep in contested territory, a dusty rock caught between two alien empires, the brutal Vorn and the secretive Elex. Humans were just hired guns for the Galactic Coalition, trying to keep the peace, but peace was a long shot now. Through the haze, Tom spotted something, a figure crawling away from a smaller wreck nearby. It wasn't human. He jogged over, ignoring Mike's shout to stay put. The figure was an alien, small and fragile-looking, with shimmering blue skin and wide golden eyes. One of her arms was gone, shredded by the crash, green blood pooling beneath her. She flinched as Tom knelt beside her. "Hey, I'm not here to hurt you," he said, keeping his voice soft. She stared, trembling. "I'm Tom. I fix people. What's your name?" She hesitated, then whispered, "Layla." Her voice was like a breeze, faint but clear. She wasn't Vorn or Elex, maybe one of the neutral species caught in the crossfire. Tom didn't care about politics right now. She was hurt, and that was enough. Behind him, Mike stomped over, rifle raised. "Step back, Tom. We don't know what she is. Could be a trap." The squad gathered, tense and sweaty, their eyes hard. "She's dying," Tom snapped. "Look at her. No threat here." Mike scowled, but didn't argue. Tom opened his pack, pulling out bandages and a small, sleek device, a prosthetic arm, human-made, meant for battlefield injuries. It wasn't fancy, just a spare he'd been testing. Layla watched, her golden eyes wide. "What is that?" she asked, her voice shaky. "It's a new arm," Tom said simply. "Not perfect, but it'll keep you going." She shook her head. "Your kind does not help mine." Her words stung, but Tom shrugged. "Maybe not usually, but I'm here now, and I'm not leaving you like this." Mike grabbed Tom's shoulder. "You're wasting time. The Vorn will find us soon." "Leave her." Tom shook him off. "If we abandon her, what's the point of fighting at all? Go secure the perimeter. I'll handle this." Mike swore but turned away, signaling the squad to spread out. They didn't like it, but they trusted Tom enough to listen. Tom worked fast. He cleaned Layla's wound, stopping the bleeding with a quick seal gel. The prosthetic wasn't made for her species. Her arm socket was narrower, her nerves different. But Tom had seen worse. He patched up soldiers with missing limbs in mud and chaos. This was just another puzzle. "Hold still," he told her, attaching wires from the prosthetic to a handheld scanner. It beeped, mapping her nervous system. She winced but didn't pull away. "Why do this?" Layla asked, her voice stronger now. Tom kept his eyes on the scanner. "Because I can. Because it's right." She didn't reply, but her gaze softened. The squad's radios crackled. Mike's voice, urgent. "Drones incoming. 5 minutes, tops." Tom cursed under his breath. He wasn't done yet, but time was running out. The prosthetic hummed as it locked onto Layla's shoulder. A faint spark jumped between the wires and her skin. She gasped, her body tensing. "It's okay," Tom said, steadying her. "Your brain's just figuring it out." Slowly, the metal fingers twitched. Layla stared at them, then at Tom, wonder mixing with fear. "You gave me this," she whispered. Before Tom could answer, the ground shook. Red dust billowed as Vorn drones buzzed overhead, their lights cutting through the haze. Mike yelled. Tom, move it. Tom grabbed Lila's good arm, pulling her up. We're not safe yet, he said. Can you run? She nodded, shaky but determined. Together, they bolted for cover, the squad firing at the drones. Tom's mind raced. He'd started something here, something bigger than he planned. Tom dragged Lila behind a jagged rock as the Vorn drones screeched overhead. Their lights swept the ground, hunting for life in the red dust. The squad fired scattered shots, but the drones were fast, weaving through the air like angry wasps. Tom's heart pounded. He'd patched people up under fire before, but this was different. Lila's new arm, still sparking faintly at the shoulder, wasn't fully connected yet. He needed time, and time was something they didn't have. Stay low, he whispered to Lila. She nodded, her golden eyes wide but sharp. The prosthetic twitched as she flexed it, testing the feel. Tom pulled out his scanner again, hand steady despite the chaos. I need to finish the wiring. Your nerves aren't cinched right. She stared at him, amazed. You work, even now. Tom grinned, tight and quick. Have it. Hold still. The scanner beeped, showing a messy map of her alien nerves. Human tech wasn't built for this, but Tom wasn't about to quit. He tweaked the wires, rerouting power through the prosthetic's core. Sweat stung his eyes, but he kept going. A drone buzzed closer, its hum growing loud. Mike's voice crackled over the radio. Tom, we're pinned. Get out of there. A blast hit nearby, showering them with dirt. Lila flinched, but Tom didn't stop. There, he said, snapping the last wire into place. The prosthetic hummed louder, and Lila's metal fingers curled smoothly. She gasped, staring at them. It feels alive. Tom nodded. Good enough for now. We've got to move. He grabbed her good arm, pulling her up. The squad was retreating toward a cluster of twisted bone-like trees. Tom and Lila stumbled after them, the drone's lights slashing the air behind. Mike waved them over, his face grim. Those things won't quit. We're dead if we stay here. The squad looked ragged, 6 humans, scratched and dusty, their rifles low on charge. Lila spoke up, her voice cutting through the tension. I know a way, a hidden path. It's not far. Mike glared at her. Why should we trust you? You're not one of us. The others muttered agreement, their eyes hard. Tom stepped between them. She's with me. I vouch for her. You want to live. Listen. Mike's jaw tightened, but he didn't argue. Lila pointed east, past the trees. There's a ravine. Narrow. The drones can't follow. Tom nodded. Lead on. The squad hesitated, then fell in line, rifles ready. The drones circled back, their engines roaring. No choice now. They ran. The ground dipped suddenly, and Lila guided them into a shallow trench hidden by the dust. It twisted into a ravine, its walls steep and rough. The drone's lights faded as the squad squeezed through, their breaths loud in the tight space. Tom stayed close to Lila, watching her move. The prosthetic held, but she was favoring her good side. How's it feel? He asked. She glanced back. Strange. Strong. Thanks to you. They stopped to catch their breath, the ravine shielding them for now. Mike crouched beside Tom. She better not be leading us into a trap. Tom met his glare. She's not. I'd stake my life on it. Mike snorted. You already are. Lila overheard, her golden eyes flickering. I don't want your war, she said quietly. My people, we just want peace. The Vorn took everything else. Tom nodded, understanding more than he let on. Then we'll get you through this. All of us. Before Mike could argue, a new sound cut through the air. A low, grinding hum. Not drones. Something bigger. Ground troops, one of the squad muttered, peering up. Shadows moved beyond the ravine's edge. The Vorn weren't giving up. Keep moving, Tom said, voice firm. Lila, how far? She pointed ahead. The path splits soon. One way to a canyon. Safe, but long. The others shorter, but risky. Mike cursed. Great. A gamble either way. Tom looked at Leela, then the squad. Short way. We can't outrun them forever. The group nodded, tense but ready. Lila took the lead again, her prosthetic clicking softly against the stone. Tom followed, his mind racing. He'd saved her once. Now he had to keep them all alive. The ravine widened, and the hum grew louder. Too late to turn back. The Vorn were closing in. The ravine opened into a narrow canyon, its walls towering high and streaked with red veins of mineral. Tom's boots crunched on the dry ground as he kept pace with Layla. Her prosthetic arm gleamed faintly in the dim light filtering through the canopy of twisted branches above. The squad moved fast, their breaths sharp and quick. The grinding hum of Vorn ground troops echoed behind them. Too close now. Tom's gut told him they'd walked into something bad, but there was no turning back. Leela stopped suddenly, her golden eyes scanning the canyon ahead. "This is it," she said. "The short way." Mike pushed past her, rifle up. "Looks clear. Let's." His words cut off as a shadow shifted on the ridge above. Then another. Vorn soldiers, tall, armored figures with spiked helmets, dropped into the canyon, energy weapons blazing. Ambush. Mike shouted, diving for cover. The squad scattered, returning fire as bolts scorched the air. Tom yanked Leela behind a boulder, his medical pack slamming against his back. "Stay down," he barked. She nodded, her new arm gripping the rock. The Vorn were relentless, their shots tearing chunks from the canyon walls. One of the squad screamed, hit in the leg, and crumpled. Tom cursed. He couldn't reach him yet. "We're pinned," Mike yelled, firing over a ledge. They knew we'd come this way. Tom's mind raced. They needed a way out, fast. His eyes fell on his pack. Not much of a weapon, but it was something. He pulled out a surgical laser, small but powerful, meant for cutting bone. "Leela, can you move?" She flexed her prosthetic. Nodding. "Yes. What's the plan?" He grinned, a wild edge to it. "We fight smart." He handed her a spare battery pack from his kit. "Throw this when I say." Hard. She looked confused but took it. Tom crept to the boulder's edge, laser in hand. The Vorn were advancing, their armor glinting. He aimed the laser at a loose overhang above them. Full power. A thin beam sliced through the rock, and with a crack, it broke free, tumbling down. "Now," he shouted. Leela hurled the battery pack into the falling debris. The pack hit, sparking wildly, and exploded in a flash of light and heat. Two Vorn soldiers staggered, dazed, their armor smoking. The squad seized the chance, firing hard. One enemy dropped, then another. But more came, climbing over the rubble. Tom grabbed Layla's good arm. "We're not done. Come on." They ran toward a narrow gap in the canyon wall, the squad covering them. Leela stumbled, her prosthetic whirring under strain. Tom steadied her. "You okay?" She nodded, breathless. "It's holding." Then she turned, spotting a Vorn aiming at Mike's back. Without thinking, she lunged, her metal arm swinging. It connected with a clang, knocking the soldier down. Mike spun, stunned, then finished it with a shot. He stared at Layla. "Guess you're useful after all." Tom smirked. "Told you." But the fight wasn't over. The canyon shook as a Vorn heavy unit, a hulking machine on treads, rolled into view, its cannon charging. "Fall back," Tom shouted. They scrambled through the gap, barely dodging a blast that shattered the rock behind them. On the other side, the canyon widened into a shallow basin. No cover, just open ground, and the machine was coming. Tom dropped to his knees, digging through his pack again. "Keep them busy," he yelled. The squad fired at the advancing Vorn, buying him seconds. He pulled out a canister of coolant spray, meant to stop bleeding, and a flare. "Leela, help me." She knelt beside him, quick despite her exhaustion. "What now?" He rigged the canister to the flare. We make a smoke screen. Get ready to run. He lit the flare and tossed it toward the Vorn. The canister burst, spraying thick, cold mist across the basin. The squad bolted, disappearing into the haze. The Vorn fired blindly, their shots going wide. Tom grabbed Leela's hand, pulling her along. Smart, she panted. Crazy, but smart. He laughed, breathless. That's humans for you. They reached the basin's edge, the mist thinning. Ahead lay a faint glow. Coalition lights. Safety, maybe. Behind, the Vorn roared in frustration. Tom squeezed Leela's hand. We're almost there. She squeezed back, her metal fingers strong. Together, she said. The squad rallied, battered but alive, and pushed on. The glow ahead grew brighter as Tom and the squad stumbled out of the canyon's shadow. It was a coalition outpost, small, battered, but still standing. A squat metal structure sat in a clearing, its antennae blinking against the alien sky. Lila's golden eyes reflected the light, a mix of relief and exhaustion in them. Tom's legs burned, his medical pack hanging heavy. But he didn't stop. The Vorn were still out there, their heavy units rumble fading, but not gone. Mike waved the squad forward. Move it. We're not safe yet. They crossed the open ground fast, boots kicking up red dust. A coalition guard, a human in patched armor, spotted them and swung the outpost door wide. Inside, now, he barked. Tom helped Leela through, her prosthetic arm clicking with each step. The door slammed shut behind them, muffling the distant chaos. Inside, the outpost hummed with low power. Consoles flickered, and a handful of coalition troops, humans, and a few Elix, watched them warily. A woman in a commander's jacket stepped forward, her face lined with fatigue. Who are you? She demanded. Mike straightened. Squad 17, coalition mercs, crash survivors. This is Tom, our medic, and her. He jerked a thumb at Leela. The commander's eyes narrowed on Leela. You're not Vorn or Elix. Explain. Leela stood tall despite her limp. I'm from the Nira. My ship was down fleeing the Vorn. This human, she nodded at Tom, saved me. The commander raised an eyebrow. With that arm? Human tech. Tom shrugged. Had to improvise. She's with us now. The room tensed, but the commander waved it off. Fine. We've got bigger problems. Vorn are massing nearby. This outpost won't hold long. Tom set his pack down, kneeling beside Leila. Let me check your arm. It took a beating back there. She sat, flexing the prosthetic. It's stiff, but I owe you. He smiled faintly, just doing my job. He opened the arms panel, tweaking the wiring. The fight had stressed it. Sparks jumped where connections had loosened. Lila watched, curious. You're kind. You don't give up, do you? Tom kept working. Not when there's a chance. Stubborn, I guess. She tilted her head. It's more than that. You see hope where others don't. A shout from the commander broke their focus. Vorn closing in. We've got minutes. The squad grabbed rifles, but Tom stayed put, finishing the repair. The prosthetic hummed smoothly again. Try it, he said. Lila clenched the metal fist, then relaxed it. Better. Stronger. She met his eyes. Thank you. The outpost shook, a Vorn blast hitting the outer wall. The commander yelled, They'll breach soon. Any ideas? Leela stood, steady now. I can help. My people sent me to signal for peace talks before the Vorn attacked. If I reach your comms, I can call the Nira fleet. The commander hesitated. That console's fried. Can you fix it? Tom stepped up. I can. Leela, show me what to send. They moved to the comms station, a mess of exposed wires and cracked screens. Tom pulled tools from his pack, hands flying. Tell me the signal code. Leela recited it, her voice calm despite the chaos. He spliced wires, rerouting power from a backup generator. The screen flickered to life. Another blast rocked the outpost. Dust fell from the ceiling. "Hurry!" Mike shouted, firing through a slit in the wall. Tom connected the last wire, and Leela typed the code fast, her prosthetic fingers steady. A beep sounded. "Signal sent." "Done," she said. "If they're close, they'll come." The commander stared. "If? That's our shot." The Vorn breached the outer gate, their heavy unit rolling in. The squad braced for a last stand, but then the sky roared. Sleek Nera ships, small, shimmering crafts, dropped from the clouds, firing on the Vorn. The enemy scattered, their machine retreating under the verage. Cheers erupted in the outpost. Mike clapped Tom's shoulder. "You crazy bastard." It worked. Leela turned to Tom, her golden eyes soft. "You gave me more than an arm. You gave us hope." He rubbed his neck, sheepish. Just didn't want to lose. Guess it paid off. The commander approached. "You two saved this dump. Coalition owes you." Tom shrugged. "Get us off this rock, and we're even." Outside, the Nera ships landed, their crews emerging to meet Leela. She glanced back at Tom. "Come with me someday. See my world." He grinned. "Maybe. If they've got good food." She laughed, a light, free sound. The war wasn't over, but for now, they'd won. Human grit and an alien's courage had lit a spark. Maybe peace wasn't so far off.